So what's the purpose? Why do we evaluate ideas? We know that gathering ideas is just the start. Focusing your time and energy and taking forward the right ideas is the most important part. I often refer to ideas as kind of like a vanity matrix or a vanity metric. You can collect lots and lots and lots of ideas, but if you don't do anything with them, then there's no value, there's no outcome. So we're just saying, how do we evaluate ideas? It's essential to have a decision-making system in place to make sure we get the right ideas and are efficient and effective as possible. So how much will an idea cost to implement and run are some of the things that we'll look at, or one of the important matrices you might want to consider. What impact will it have on your business? Again, really, really, really important. How long will it take to implement? What are their timelines? And does it align with your strategic goals? So is it something we actually want to do as a business? Because we can have great ideas, but they might not be right for our organization. So these are all things that we want to consider. So what is an idea evaluation matrix? It's something we're looking at. I'm just going to show you and talk you through a really simplistic model. I'm doing it against 2 ideas. We're going to share this afterwards, so don't worry too much, although it's fairly simple. So obviously a matrix is something that allows you to rank each idea and based on a score it receives for varying criteria. We put in some criteria here across time, cost, potential impact, monetary impact. These can change, these can be added to, and these can be simplified. Not all ideas should necessarily follow the same process either. So depending on how we bucket ideas, even before we start this, we might want to have slightly different models in place. So if you've just completed an innovation competition or a challenge, you might have hundreds of ideas to evaluate. Firstly, if you're using technology, you probably want to filter a lot of those ideas down. So you can put hundreds of ideas through this, but you don't want to look at every idea. Every idea will probably be too time consuming. So again, how do you use potentially technology to refine this? So once you've got your matrix, once you've got your ideas, then you can start to plot them in the actual matrix itself. So the first thing to do is to decide what are the things. So we talked about for time, cost, potential impact, and monetary impact. We talk about rate the criteria. So you need to establish a rating scale or a criteria coefficient. Scale for us, very simply, we'll have 1 as low importance to 5 of high importance. And of course, I would encourage you to have a scale and a key for your matrices so people understand what's happening. So the first thing that we do is obviously the time and cost, and just to touch upon those. So time is clearly how much time it will take to plan, implement, and produce results. The cost is what will actually take to bring it to life. And a high cost doesn't mean it's a bad idea. It just means it requires a bigger potential impact in order to be considered, as does monetary impact. And not everything can effectively boil back down to monetary impact, but it doesn't always have to. So just because we have a very high time, very high cost, it doesn't mean it's a bad idea if the potential impact is high. But we also need to consider what it will do to our business, and then that's how we link it back to our strategies or our goals as an organization. So we've got our criteria coefficient, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 5. We're sort of scaling these ideas as we go through. And what we then do is actually look at how each idea scores against each of those. So as you can see, we've just sort of populated this for you. And then quite simply, you multiply the criteria coefficient by the idea score itself, which gives you a weighted rating. And we can do this against each idea. So what we're looking at is a total idea score that will allow us to see which ideas we should rank based on what we're assessing against. This works a lot easier when you're running against a project or you're running against a challenge, because what you find is you're rating ideas against a similar output. Becomes slightly more complex where they're trying to do different things. So again, that's why it becomes very important to link back to your strategic objectives. So once you've calculated the weighted score, it's simply a matter of adding it up, and then we can rank and rate those ideas based on a scale within Excel or whatever we might want to use. So really, really quick sort of synopsis and summary, rushing through that because it's fairly simple. We're obviously going to share it with you afterwards, but wanted to get to the good stuff as quickly as possible. So the key purpose of this matrix, of course, is to allow you to prove an invaluable decision-making tool to find the best and the most workable ideas based on what you can see.